Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our Lambda Matrix labs, the video number 35. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been still working with the Testomo report, which is built on PowerShell. It is used to discover a lot of issues concerning the Active Directory health and the Active Directory security and the Active Directory disaster recovery precaution or the disaster recovery steps implemented. So for example, if you didn't take a backup, this report will focus or will clarify that you didn't take a backup of the Active Directory database from a certain amount of days or certain amount of time. So this report will help you in a lot of things concerning the Active Directory from different views, from the health view and from the security view and from the disaster recovery view. Okay, so we have stopped the last time at some findings that this report has found concerning my Active Directory forest. So we have seen that we didn't make a backup for the Active Directory database. We didn't, or there was a problem concerning the replication of one of our Active Directory partitions was not replicated from my additional domain controller to my primary domain controller. We have seen that we need to uh, enable some features in our Active Directory environment. For example, we need to enable the Active Directory cycle bin for this is like a backup, not a backup. This, if you accidentally deleted an object from the Active Directory, you can restore it from the Active Directory recycle bin. And we need also to make sure that the lapse or the local administrator password solution feature is enabled in our Active Directory environment. This is also a good feature Microsoft incorporated in its Active Directory environment to enable administrators to manage all of the local administrator accounts on all of the PCs and servers and workstations in your domain. So this is a very, very good thing. And actually this is will enhance your network security to make sure that all of the local administrators accounts passwords are changed. Okay, so no hacker can take advantage of these local administrator accounts. So anyway, we have stopped the last time at this section of the report, which is called forest sites. Okay, this test will ensure a couple of things. Will ensure that you have sites and every site contains domain controllers. So if there is sites without domain controllers, it will give you an indicator about that. If there is sites without subnets, we all know that every site contains a bunch or some computers. These computers communicate with IP addresses from the same range. So each site should have uh, a certain subnet, and this subnet should be clarified to the Active Directory. So for example, one question arises: what if I have a site without a subnet? Okay, if I open Active Directory sites and services and see my site without a subnet, does this will affect the replication process of the Active Directory database? Of course, this will not affect the replication process, even though you have your domain controllers having IP addresses and they can communicate. But logically, or from a logical perspective, the Active Directory should know the subnet. Okay, should know the subnet, because in the future, if you make other sites, the other sites will have different subnets. Okay, so you should uh, see that in the Active Directory sites and services. You can differentiate different sites by their subnets, not only by their names. So one thing you should have in your Active Directory sites and services, you should have sites, and every site should has a subnet or should have a subnet that is also clarified and published in the Active Directory sites and services. And you should have, every site should have domain controllers. So what is the advantage of having a subnet or a site without domain controllers in it? Then you should delete these sites and subnets. So this test will ensure that you have sites, these sites have cleared subnets, okay, and have cleared domain controllers in it, or it should have known domain controllers in it, okay? Because actually sites without domain controllers, this will also will affect the replication. So why you need to put overload on the replication process with a site that doesn't have any subnets or doesn't have any domain controllers? Okay, especially if you don't have sites or have sites without domain controllers. So this test will ensure that uh, you have sites with subnets, you have sites with subnets and domain controllers in it. Okay, so we will see the site, and before that we need to have a small talk about this. What is a site and what does it do exactly? If we see ChatGPT, if we go there and ask it one thing, what about the site, or what is a site? Let's see here an explanation concerning this topic. Just wait for a moment.
Sure, let's break it down into simpler terms using a real-world analogy. 1. Active Directory AD sites. Imagine your company has several office buildings in different cities. Each office building represents an AD site. These buildings, sites, are connected by reliable and fast internet connections. 2. Subnets. Within each office building, there are several floors, and each floor has its own network. These floors represent subnets. So a site office building can contain multiple subnets, floors. 3. Purpose of sites. The site information helps the IT team manage and optimize how the network is used. It's like setting up the best routes and communication methods between the different office buildings to ensure everything runs smoothly. 4. Domain controllers, DCs. Think of domain controllers as special rooms in each office building that store important information and manage security for the whole network. Each DC is linked to a site office building based on its address. 5. Multiple domains and sites. One office building site can have special rooms, DCs from different departments' domains. Likewise, a single department domain can have special rooms, DCs, in multiple office buildings. 6. Sites without subnets. If an office building site doesn't have any floor subnets, it doesn't serve any purpose. It's like having an empty building with no rooms. 7. Sites without domain controllers. Even if an office building, site, doesn't have any special rooms, DCs, it still has a role in the overall network setup. It might be used for planning or future expansion. 8. Assessment by domain admins. The IT team needs to regularly check if there are any office buildings without floors, subnets, or without special rooms, DCs. They need to decide if these buildings are still needed. Maybe the floors are just missing, or perhaps the building, site, is no longer required and should be removed. In summary, AD sites are like office buildings in a company's network, helping to organize and optimize communication. Each building can have multiple floors, subnets, and special rooms, DCs, that manage important information. The IT team must regularly check these buildings to ensure they are still needed and correctly set up.
So here, this is why we need to run a test like that by test mode to make sure our sites have subnets attached to it and have domain controllers residing in it. Okay, so let's see also Claude, if you go and ask it the same question to explain also uh, this test and what does it do exactly. Let's see also what does it say.
In moving,
Okay, let me show you all here something from the beginning.
let me break this down into simpler terms. Sites in Active Directory. Think of sites as digital representations of physical office locations or branches of a company. They help organize and manage the company's computer network more efficiently. Purpose of sites. Sites allow network administrators to set up rules for how computers talk to each other and share information, especially when some computers are far apart or connected through slower internet links. How sites work. Each site is linked to one or more network addresses, like zip codes for computers. Every main computer, called a domain controller, in the company's network is assigned to a site based on its network address. A site can have main computers from different parts of the company, and different sites can have computers from the same part of the company. Potential issues. Sites without network addresses. These are like empty offices that aren't being used. They don't serve any purpose. Sites without main computers. These still have a role in organizing the network, even if they don't have a main computer present. What administrators should do. For sites without network addresses, check if they're still needed. If yes, add the missing address. If not, remove the site. For sites without main computers, this is just for information. If the site is no longer needed, it should be removed.
Okay, so this is a good thing. Now let's see the report. Here the report, when I run it, it says that I have a subnet, I have a site without a subnet. Okay, so I have the default first site. This is my site. Okay, I have only one site, but this site doesn't contain a subnet. Okay, this doesn't contain a subnet. Even though my two domain controllers, I have static IP addresses and then they can communicate. But if you go to Active Directory sites and services, you will see my site, but you cannot see my subnet for this site. Okay, so we need to attach, or we need to clarify for the Active Directory sites and services that my site have a special subnet for these two domain controllers. Okay, so we will see how we can do that in the video now, but let's wait, or let me show you all how I have done this, because actually I didn't record it, but I will show you screenshots or how we can do that. So let's wait and see how I did rectify this problem. Okay, so let me show you all how this is done. If you go there, I will open this one and we show you some screenshots concerning how we solved this problem. If we go there one by one, this is the first thing. First of all, we need to go to Active Directory sites and services and go to the subnets, right click and tell him new subnet. Because here I have my default first site name, this my site doesn't have a subnet attached to it. So what we need to do, I need to go and add a subnet. But before that, I need to know my subnet. How I can do that? I can tell him right click and then run and then type cmd, okay, and then type ipconfig/all. So here I can know that my subnet is 192.168.1. This is my subnet. So the same, I need to go to my domain controller, type the same ipconfig/all. Here I can see that my subnet is 192.168.79. This is the subnet. So I need to make a new subnet and attach it to my default first site. Okay, let's go and do that. Here we have seen that before. When I do this right click and new subnet, this will open this page or open this box. Now you can add your subnet and you can add the prefix or the subnet mask at the end. My subnet mask is 255.255.255.0, which is /24. This is the subnet, and then I need to add it or attach it to my default first site name. After we do that, we will see now I have these two domain controllers in my first site name or the first site, and this is the subnet they are attached to it. Before that, this was not there. I have only the default site or the first site, the two domain controllers, and that's it. They were working and the replication was done, but from some organizational view or from some organizing, or we need to be organized just to make sure if I create a new subnet or a new site, I can know its subnet. So now we have this subnet attached to the site, and then if we run again the report, it will give us that the count. Let me show you also first. If we go there, after finishing, we need to run again. We need to run this report again, okay, by running this command. If I run this command, it should give me that we have a subnet count of 1, and it will give me the subnet that is currently configured. Let me show you all how this is done. If you go there and type this command, and this is already, if we take this, will run this report, or they will run this test in a specific, okay, concerning the forest. This will run this test concerning the forest sites. So here, if I run this command, now we will see we have subnet count, which is 1, before that it was 0. If you go there, this was 0. So here is the finding. Even though he said it is low and he didn't give me a failure concerning this report, the subnet count will be 1, and we will see that the subnet will be 192.168.79.0.24, which is what we were seeking. Okay, we need to know if now I have sites without subnets, now I have sites with subnet. So here this is the test and how we can bypass it. Now another test will be run. It's called site links. It will check about the site links and the replication frequency of this site link, and if uh, the changes are notified. If, for example, I have a change in my site, if change in Active Directory database, Active Directory, if there is a change in my Active Directory, this change should be notified to the other sites immediately. Automatic site links should use notification. So if there is any change, it should be notified immediately to the other sites. We will see here is my default site. This is the cost or site link. This is the cost of the site link. This is the replication minutes. We use notify to make sure every change is notified immediately. Okay, and this is when this site link was created, when it was modified, and protect from accidental deletion false. I think this should be true. We need to enable this, and this is how this would be. You can go to the Active Directory sites and services. This is the default IP site. Okay, this is the link, and then you can change the cost and the replication here. Okay, you need to make sure if you have a couple of sites that the maximum is set to 60 minutes. The replication should be set maximum to 60 minutes. Okay, it's as minimum for 15 minutes, but maximum it should not be more than 60 minutes. And again, the other site or another test will make sure that the site link connection, it will make sure that your site link connections are there. They are set automatic. The site links are created automatically by the KCC. The cross site links or the links between the sites, they should use notification, which means that if any change is done in one site, it should be replicated or should be notified to the other sites immediately. All site links or the changes within the same site doesn't use notification. So, for example, if there is a change done in a domain controller within the same site, okay, they should not be notified immediately because the replication process will be done every 15 seconds anyway. So we will see that this test is concerning the site links. If all of the links between the sites are enabled, if some is disabled, he will notify you. The links are there, they are created automatically, no missing site links. Cross links use notification. All sites or same site links have no notification. All of these are done also by another test, and this is the result. We will show, or I will show you all how this also is. I have recorded it in a video, but let's wait for a moment to show you the video. Just wait for a moment. So let's continue, guys. Here we have all of these tests are done. Okay, I didn't record it, but actually it is very simple. We don't need to see it, and actually it is successful. And as we see here, all of these tests are done. Okay, and one thing here, the role availability, here we will see a test also is done. If you need to make sure that you have the schema master available and the domain master available, you need, this report says that you have the schema master, okay, and the domain master. These two are true, so he will ping them and see if they are available, and he will give you who is holding this two roles, the schema master and the domain master. These are two very important roles that should be available and should be online. Okay, so here is saying that we have the primary domain controller is the schema master, and the primary domain controller is the domain naming master. So we have these two, and actually this is very good test. All of these are successfully passed, here we have one test that is elevated. He's saying that you should have something called root KDC key. What is the root KDC key? This is used to create and change the password for a special account called group managed service accounts. So if you are using group managed service accounts, you need to create a KDC key that will be responsible for creating passwords and changing them for this account. What is GMSA? Okay, and what does it do exactly? Let me show you all something like also a small explanation concerning this topic. Okay, let's go and ask, or what is this GMSA? Here it is. This is the GMSA. First of all, let me ask ChatGPT to explain it further.
GMSAs, or Group Managed Service Accounts, are special types of accounts in Windows that are used to run services or applications. Here's a breakdown of what they are and why they are useful. 1. Service accounts. Typically, when you run a service or application on a Windows server, you need an account for that service to operate under. These are called service accounts. 2. Managed accounts. Unlike regular service accounts that require manual password management, managed service accounts, MSS, automatically handle password changes. This reduces the administrative overhead and enhances security because passwords are rotated regularly without human intervention. 3. Through Group Managed Service Accounts, GMSS, Group. The group part means that these accounts can be used by multiple servers within the same Active Directory domain. This is particularly useful for services that need to run on a cluster of servers or multiple servers for load balancing. Managed. Password management is handled automatically by the system. The passwords are complex and are changed regularly without any administrator needing to get involved. Service accounts. These accounts are specifically designed for running services, applications, or scheduled tasks. 4. Benefits. Security. Automatically managed passwords that are complex and regularly updated improve security. Convenience. Reduces the workload for IT administrators as they no longer need to manually update service account passwords. Reliability. Ensures that services running on different servers can access the necessary resources using the same account without synchronization issues. 5. Usage scenario. Suppose you have a web application that runs on a server farm with multiple servers. Let's call them Web Server 01, Web Server 2, etc. Using a GMSA, all these servers can run the web application service under the same account, and you don't have to worry about synchronizing passwords across these servers because the system handles it for you. In summary, GMSAs are a secure and efficient way to manage service accounts in a Windows environment, particularly useful in scenarios where the same service needs to run across multiple servers.
So here the report is saying that I don't have the KDC key, which is responsible for changing and creating password for this type of accounts. I don't have GMSA accounts. I don't use them for anything, so I don't need the KDC key. Okay, but here this is, if you are using the GMSA, you need to make sure you have the KDC key created, okay, or installed on the server to be responsible for updating and creating password for this kind of accounts. If you go to Perplexity, here is another explanation which is very good actually, giving the same the same explanation done by ChatGPT, but here is giving you some screenshots concerning how this services or this GMSA services look alike. First of all, this is, for example, a service account that will run the SQL service on a couple of servers. So this account will run the SQL server services on the 3 SQL servers. Okay, so this is one thing, and here how it is look like. Here is how it will look like. This one, group managed service accounts. So this is very simple, and here you go how you can create also this account by right click and create the account. So this is very simple, and this is very powerful account. Okay, this is good or better than the normal service account. So again, let's go and ask ChatGPT something here. Here, this is the test, okay? It is saying that domain controllers require a root key to begin generating GMSA passwords. Domain controllers will wait up to 10 hours for the time of creation to allow all domain controllers to coverage their AD replication before allowing the creation of GMSA. So the key will be installed on a domain controller. It will create password for the GMSA account, and then we should wait for 10 hours for the key to be replicated to all of the domain controllers. Okay, so this is should be done because the GMSA account will not work on other domain controllers unless the root key or the key is also replicated to all of the domain controllers. So every domain controller should have the GMSA account working on it and the root key also to be available on it, so it can retrieve the password from it and update the password from it and create the password from it. So let me show you ChatGPT when I asked it to explain this text concerning this test. Let me show you all here when I ask it to explain this thing or this text.
All right, let's break this down into simpler terms. 1. Domain controllers, DC. Think of these as special computers in a network that manage user accounts and security. 2. Root key. This is a special code that these special computers need to start creating passwords for a specific type of account called a GMSA, Group Managed Service Account. 3. Waiting for 10 hours. When you create a GMSA, the system waits up to 10 hours. This waiting period is like a buffer time to ensure that all the special computers in the network are updated with the new root key. It's like making sure every team member gets the same information before starting a task. 4. Add replication. This is the process of sharing information, like the root key, between all the special computers. The 10-hour wait helps make sure this sharing process is complete. 5. Why the wait? If you try to use the GMSA too soon, before all the special computers have the new key, there might be problems. For example, if the computer you are using tries to get the password, but the key hasn't been shared with all computers yet, it won't work. 6. Replication issues. Sometimes there might be delays or issues in sharing the information between the computers. This could be because some computers are scheduled to update at different times, or there is a problem with the sharing process. In short, the 10-hour waiting period is a precaution to ensure that all the special computers in the network are updated properly with the new key. So there are no problems when generating or retrieving passwords for these special accounts.
So this is what the tests do. And again, if you go and ask Claude for what is GMSA, and then we will also give it also the text to explain what this test will do. First, what is GMSA? Let's see Claude and its answer.
Start new chat. Start. GMSAs stands for Group Managed Service Accounts. Let me explain what they are and how they're used. Basic definition. GMSAs are a type of account in Windows Server and Active Directory environments designed to run services and applications securely. Purpose. They're used to provide the necessary permissions for services or applications to run, while enhancing security and reducing administrative overhead. Key features. Automatic password management. The Active Directory system manages and regularly changes the password for GMSAs without human intervention. Complex passwords. GMSAs use very long, complex passwords that are difficult to crack. No manual login. They can't be used for interactive logins, which increases security. Benefits. Improved security. Reduces risks associated with static, long-lived passwords. Easier administration. Eliminates the need for manual password changes and management. Better service account governance. Provides more control and auditing capabilities. Use cases. Running Windows services. Powering IIS application pools. Scheduled tasks that need elevated permissions. Cluster services in failover clusters. Comparison to traditional service accounts. Unlike regular service accounts where admins must manually change passwords, which often leads to them being left unchanged for long periods, GMSAs handle this automatically, significantly reducing security risks. In essence, GMSAs are a more secure and manageable way to run services and applications in Windows environments, especially in larger organizations where manual password management for numerous service accounts can be challenging and risky.
So this is the explanation of Claude. Let's see when I tell him to explain the test run by Testimo. So this is the test run by Testimo. Let's see what is the answer of Claude. Okay, just wait for a moment.
Sure, let me explain this in simpler terms. Think of domain controllers, DCs, as the security guards of a big office building. They're responsible for letting people in and out and making sure everyone has the right keys. Now, imagine the building wants to set up a new high-tech lock system that's our GMSA or Group Managed Service account. But before this system can work, all the security guards need to have a special master key, that's the root key. Here's how it goes. The building manager decides to set up this new lock system. The system needs time to make sure all the security guards get their master keys. It's like waiting for everyone to get the memo and the new equipment. The system waits up to 10 hours before it starts working. This is like giving all the night shift and day shift guards time to come in, get their new keys, and understand how to use them. This waiting time is important because if someone tries to use the new lock system before all the guards have their master keys, it might not work properly. It's like trying to enter the building when some guards don't know about the new system yet. You might get stuck outside. Sometimes, problems can happen if some guards only update their information once in a while, limited replication schedules. There's a mix-up in sharing the new information, replication issue. In these cases, you might find that some doors won't open even when they should, because not all the guards have the right keys or information yet. So, the main idea is, when setting up this new system, it's important to be patient and give it enough time for all the security guards, domain controllers, to get on the same page. This helps avoid situations where people, or in the real case, computer systems, get locked out because of incomplete information.
So this is also the explanation of the test. But what if I need to implement the root key? So we can go and tell him, if you need to install the KDC root key on a certain domain controller, you can tell him add KDC root key effective immediately. Okay, but this, after doing that, you need to wait for 10 hours until it is replicated to all of the domain controllers. If you need it to be replicated immediately, so you can use this second line here to tell him minus 10 hours to make the replication immediately. Okay, so this how you can, after installing the KDC root key, by immediate KDC root key and tell him to minus 10 hours it will replicate it to all of the domain controllers, then you can use it safely without any problems. Okay, so I don't have a KDC root key and I don't have GMSA accounts, so this test doesn't apply to me. Site subnets verification, we have seen this before. Subnets without sites or sites without subnet, we have seen this. Okay, I have already rectified it, and subnets overlapping. I don't have I have only one subnet, so I don't have any subnets overlapping. Okay, so after giving my sites a subnet, this test succeeded. If I go there and show you all, this is when I run this command. If we go there, this is the command for the subnet overlapping. If I run it, it will give me this. So it will give site overlap false. Okay, so I now don't have overlap, and I have already my subnet. Okay, and everything is working properly. So again, what we have done here, we have already passed the first root key test, subnets verification test, and then we need to see this test was called orphaned administrative objects. But before that, let me see something here, guys. And let me show if I have to do something here concerning the video. So I think here, yes, I have already done it. So here we will go to the other, I think we can go to the next test. Okay, we have the KDC route already, we have already passed this one, and sites verification, we have done this. Now we can go to the orphaned. Okay, again, we can go to the orphaned. Just I need to stop at the test called orphaned administrative. Okay, just wait for a moment here. Okay, so now if you go further, here you go, this is orphaned administrative objects, and this is another test that is done by the Testamo report. Let's see the small explanation here. I can tell the AI tool to explain it, and I think this will be better. I have already done this by Claude, so let me show you all how Claude have explained this one. If you go there and show you all, this is what is what this test will do, but in simple terms. Let me read it and then give you the AI explanation. Active Directory user group and computer object possesses something called admin count attribute. The admin count attribute value default is not set. So every user and group and computer in Active Directory has something called admin count, and it is set or its value is not set, or let's say it is 0. Okay, its utility comes from the fact that when a user group or computer is added either directly or transversely to any of a specific set of protected groups, its value is updated to 1. So for example, if I add a user to a high privilege group like domain admins, its admin count attribute will be updated to 1. This will help the Active Directory to know if this user is in a very high privilege group or not. Okay, this can provide a relatively simple method by which object with inherited administrative privileges might be identified. Consider this: a user in a stamp is a stamp with admin count of 1. As a result of being added to domain admins, the user is removed from domain admins, the admin count value persists. So this is here the problem, or this is the test needs, or the test will focus on. If there is a user that has his admin count of 1 and he is not a member of a privileged group, so this should be rectified. This should be changed from 1 to 0 or not set. In this instance, the user is considered as orphan. So if I find a user with admin count 1 and he is not a member of a protected group or privileged admin group, then this should be rectified. Okay, this should have a lot of things, because actually if I try to put this user, for example, if I remove him from domain admins and try to put him in another group, this will not be done because the admin count of this user is 1. Okay, we will see that something called admin SD holder will be stamped upon this user every hour to protect against tampering. So for example, if I try to add him to another group, this, which is called admin SD holder, will prevent me from doing that. Okay, so we need to rectify this error so I can work with the user again. So let's see the answer of Claude concerning or explaining this text or this test. Okay, let's see this.
Certainly. Let's break this down using a simple analogy. Imagine Active Directory as a big office building, and the users, groups, and computers are employees. The admin count attribute is like a special badge that some employees get. The badge system. Every employee, user, group, or computer has a spot on their ID card for this special badge, admin count attribute. Usually, this spot is empty, not set. Getting the special badge. There are certain VIP rooms in the building, protected groups like domain admins. If an employee gets access to any of these VIP rooms, they automatically get a special gold badge, admin count set to 1, on their ID. The persistent badge. Here's the tricky part. Once an employee gets this gold badge, it doesn't go away easily. Even if they lose access to the VIP rooms, the badge stays on their ID. The orphaned employee. Let's say Bob from accounting got temporary access to a VIP room and got the gold badge. Later, his VIP access is removed, but his ID still has the gold badge. Bob is now what we call an orphaned employee. He has the badge, but not the actual VIP access. The overprotective security guard. There's a security guard, admin SD holder, who checks all gold badge holders every hour. This guard puts extra locks on these employees' lockers, ACLs, to protect them. The guard doesn't care if Bob actually has VIP access anymore. He sees the badge and applies the locks. The problems this causes. Now, when Bob's manager tries to give him access to the supply closet delegation, the extra locks might prevent it. Or when Bob tries to use the copy machine application permissions, he might find he can't because of these extra locks. In essence, this system, which was designed to protect important accounts, can sometimes cause unexpected problems when people who were once administrators but aren't anymore still have this special badge on their account. It's like having extra security following around an ex-VIP, causing confusion and inconvenience. To fix this, IT administrators need to regularly check for these orphaned accounts and manually remove their gold badges when they're no longer needed.
So here, for example, if I have a user called Alice, which is no longer in the domain admin groups, but still have the admin count to 1, how we can solve this problem? Okay, so there is steps we can do that. Okay, so we can go and see how this is already fixed. Okay, let me show you all. For example, if I have a user that was a member of the domain admins and it was removed and the admin count is still 1, how we can solve this? Let's see how Claude will tell us the solution.
To solve the issue where Alice is no longer in the domain admins group but still has the admin count set to 1, you'll need to take a few steps. Here's how to address this in simple terms. Verify Alice's current status. First, double-check that Alice is indeed no longer a member of any protected groups, like domain admins. Reset the admin count attribute. Log into a domain controller with administrative privileges. Open Active Directory users and computers. Find Alice's user account. Right-click on it and choose Properties. Go to the Attribute Editor tab. Look for the admin count attribute and set its value to 0. Click Apply and then OK. Force Security Descriptor Propagation. In Active Directory Users and Computers, right-click on Alice's user object. Choose All Tasks. This will remove the restrictive permissions applied by admin SD holder. Wait for or force AD replication. Wait for these changes to replicate to all domain controllers, or force replication if needed. Verify the change. After replication, check Alice's account again to ensure the admin count is now 0. Monitor and maintain. Regularly audit your Active Directory for accounts with admin count set to 1. Use PowerShell scripts or third-party tools to automate this process. Prevent future occurrences. Implement a process to check and reset admin count when removing users from protected groups. Use temporary group memberships or just-in-time administration when possible to avoid this issue. Consider using the SD-prop process. If there are many affected accounts, you might run the SD-prop process manually to clean up multiple accounts at once. Remember, these steps require careful handling as they involve important security settings. It's always a good idea to test in a non-production environment first and ensure you have a backup before making changes. By following these steps, you'll remove Alice's lingering administrative protections, allowing her account to function normally without unexpected permission issues. Copy. Retry.
Kroner.
What is SD-prop process? Edit. Certainly. Let me explain the SD-prop process in simpler terms. SD-prop stands for Security Descriptor Propagator. Think of it as a special cleaning and security update service for Active Directory. Here's a breakdown. What it does. SD-prop is like a security guard that goes around checking and updating the locks on important file cabinets, user accounts and groups in your office building, Active Directory. How it works. Every hour, SD-Prop wakes up and does its job. It looks at a master security template called admin SD holder. Then it checks all the VIP file cabinets, accounts with admin count equals 1. If their locks don't match the master template, it updates them. Why it exists? To ensure that important accounts always have the right level of protection. It's a safeguard against accidental or malicious changes to critical account permissions. The catch. Sometimes, it can be overprotective. If an account used to be VIP but isn't anymore, like Alice in our previous example, SD-Prop keeps locking it down anyway. Manual run. Administrators can trigger SD-Prop manually instead of waiting for the hourly run. This is useful when you've made changes and want them to take effect immediately. In the context of our problem, running SD-Prop after resetting Alice's admin count to 0 can help ensure that her account quickly gets the correct, non-administrative permissions. It's like telling the security guard, hey, update the locks on all the cabinets right now, and make sure you're using the latest list of who's VIP and who's not. How to run it manually. This is typically done using specific PowerShell commands or by updating a certain registry key on a domain controller. Remember, while SD-Prop is a powerful tool for maintaining security, it's also the reason why simply removing someone from an admin group doesn't immediately remove all their special permissions. That's why understanding and managing the admin count attribute is so important in Active Directory administration.
So this is a good thing. We need to make sure that our privilege groups, okay, we need to know their membership, and when we remove someone from our privilege groups, we need to make sure that the admin count of these users or these removed users is 0, not 1. Okay, as you can see here, he didn't find anything concerning my orphaned administrative objects. He doesn't find something like that. Then the other thing is that tombstone or tombstone lifetime. Here you make sure that the tombstone lifetime is set to 180 days. We all know what is tombstone. I have already discussed this before. So this is another test. What is the tombstone? He's saying it is a container object consisting of deleted objects from AD. These objects have not been physically removed from the database. When an AD object, such as a user, is deleted, the object technically remains in the directory or the Active Directory for a given period of time, known as tombstone lifetime. At that point, Active Directory sets the deleted or is deleted attribute of the deleted objects to true. So the object attribute is set to is deleted. Okay, set it to true and moves it to a special container called tombstone, previously known as deleted objects. Once the object is older than the tombstone, or 180 days, it will be removed physically by the garbage collection process. So he's just making sure that the tombstone is activated and it is working. As we can see here, it's 180 days. Then the other test is the trust availability. If you have multiple forests or have trusts, I think this is the test, okay, or the delegation. I think he's talking about here delegation concerning, or you are delegating an account, and this is how you can see also the trusts. There is visually display Active Directory trusts between sites or forests. This is done using this one, get AD trust. So these are two let's see here, trust. This are two domain or two forests, and this is the trust between them. So I don't have a trust, so I don't this I have already passed this test. So if we can go further, this is the trust. We have seen the trust availability. Now we can go to the other test, which is called configuration partition owner. This is another test done by Testamo. The configuration partition of the Active Directory database contains replication topology, and other configuration data must be replicated throughout the forest. This is correct. Every domain controller in the forest has a replica of the same configuration partition. We all know that the configuration partition and the schema partition should be the same on all of the forest. Okay, so all of the domain controllers in all of the domains should have the same schema and configuration partition. Okay, so say every domain controller in the forest has a replica of the same configuration partition. Just like the schema partition, there is just one master configuration partition per forest, and the same for the schema. And second one on all DCs in the forest. It contains the forest-wide activity, Active Directory topology, including DCs, sites, services, subnets, and site links. It is replicated to all DCs. So we can see this contains important information concerning the sites, the subnets, the site links. In a forest, owners of the Active Directory configuration partition, and more specifically sites, subnets, and site links, should always be set to administrative or to administrators like domain admins and enterprise admins. So this test will make sure that all of the sites, services, and subnets and site links, the owner of these sites, services, and subnets and site links is the domain admins and enterprise admins. So if we go there and see the test here, we can see this is the site and the owner is the enterprise admin. So this is, he will see that the site or the default first site and all of its content, okay, is the owner of this site, or site's owner should be administrative, subnets should be administrative, site links should be administrative. So all of these are the domain admins or enterprise admin are the owners. If we go further, go something called configuration partitions container, this is the same or related or the same thing related to the configuration partition. It's also focusing on that all of the contents of the configuration partition, the owner are the administrative admins or the enterprise admins. The same test, okay? And as we see here, this is also passed. The last or one test is the duplicate service principal name. So what is the service principal name? If you have a service account, it will publish itself to the Active Directory as a service principal name. So what this mean? This mean if anyone tries to query or to see or to ask for a service account, the Active Directory will know. So for example, if I have an account named Kareem, Kareem will be responsible for running the SQL services. Okay, I need to register Kareem in the Active Directory as a service account or a service principal name. So if anyone asks about the service account to running the SQL, he should know that Kareem is the one that I need. So Kareem should be registered to the Active Directory as a service account. This is called or it should be registered as service principal name. Okay, services use service publication in the Active Directory service to provide information about themselves in the directory for easy discovery by client application and other services. Oh, I think let me take this and ask. I think I have Claude already asked it the same question. So if we go and ask it to explain this, let's go and tombstone, I have already asked it about the tombstone. So here is, I ask it to explain this text, okay? Ask Claude to explain it in simple terms. So let's see what is the answer of Claude concerning this thing.
Certainly. Let's break this down using a real-world analogy. Imagine Active Directory as a big city phone book, and services are like businesses in the city. Service publication. When a new business, service, opens in the city, it wants people to know about it. So, it puts an ad in the phone book, Active Directory, with its name, address, and what it does. This is like creating a service object or connection point object in Active Directory. Service Principal Names, SPNs. Think of SPNs as unique business licenses. Each business gets a special number. This license number helps customers identify and trust the business. Kerberos authentication. Kerberos is like a city-wide ID verification system. When you want to use a service, you first go to the City Hall, Key Distribution Center or KDC, and get a General ID badge, Ticket Granting Ticket or TGT. Then, when you want to use a specific business, you go back to City Hall and say, I want to use the business with license number XYZ. How authentication works. City Hall gives you a special ticket for that business. This ticket is like a locked box that only the right business can open. The business opens it with their special key, account password, to verify you're allowed to use their service. The problem with duplicate SBNs. Now, imagine two businesses accidentally got the same license number, duplicate SBN. You ask City Hall for a ticket to business XYZ. City Hall might create a ticket that only one of these businesses can open, but you take it to the other one. When you get there, the business can't open the ticket because it was locked with the other business's key. The business says, "Sorry, I can't open this ticket, AP modified error." You're confused because you thought you had the right ticket, wrong principal error. In technical terms, services advertise themselves in Active Directory. They use unique identifiers called SBNs. Kerberos uses these SBNs to create secure tickets for authentication. If SBNs are duplicated, the wrong key might be used to create the ticket, causing authentication failures. This system usually works great, but when there's a mix-up with these unique identifiers, SBNs, it can cause confusion and prevent services from working correctly, just like having two businesses with the same license number would cause problems in our city analogy. Copy. Retry. KR. Explain this using real-world example. Domain named matrix.internal and two DCs. PDC named DCSM0125 and ADC named DCSM0225. Edit. Certainly. Let's use our Matrix Corp example with the domain matrix, internal, and two domain controllers. Primary domain controller, PDC DCSM0125. Additional domain controller, ADC DCSM0225. Now, let's say Matrix Corp has two important services. The Employee Database Service. The Project Management Service. Here's how the scenario might play out. Service publication. When IT installs the Employee Database Service, it registers itself in Active Directory, our city phone book. It creates an entry saying, "I'm the Employee Database Service. You can find me at server1.matrix.internal, port 1433. Similarly, the Project Management Service registers itself. Service Principal Names, SBNs. The Employee Database Service gets an SBN, MSSQLSVC/server1.matrix.internal, 1433. The Project Management Service gets an SBN, http:/projects.matrix.internal. Normal operation. When Alice wants to use the employee database, her computer asks DCSM0125, our City Hall, for a ticket. DCSM0125 creates a ticket that only the Employee Database Service can decrypt. Alice's computer takes this ticket to the Employee Database Service, which opens it successfully, and Alice can use the database. The problem scenario. One day, a new intern, Bob, sets up a test version of the employee database on a different server. Not knowing any better, Bob gives it the same SBN as the real employee database, MSSQLSVC/server1.matrix.internal, 1433. The confusion begins. Now, when Charlie tries to use the employee database, his computer asks DCSM0225 for a ticket. DCSM0225, confused by the duplicate SBN, might create a ticket encrypted for Bob's test database instead of the real one. Charlie's computer takes this ticket to the real employee database service. The real service can't decrypt the ticket because it was encrypted for Bob's test service. Charlie gets an error saying he can't access the database. The aftermath. The real employee database service logs an AP modified error, basically saying, "Someone gave me a ticket I can't use." Charlie's computer shows a wrong principal error, essentially saying, "The service isn't who we thought it was." The IT team starts getting calls about database access issues. Resolving the issue. Trinity, the senior admin, investigates and finds the duplicate SBN. She removes the incorrect SBN from Bob's test service. She then forces a replication between DCSM0125 and DCSM0225 to ensure both have the correct information. After this, when users request tickets, both domain controllers provide correct tickets for the real employee database service. This real-world example shows how a simple mistake in setting up a test service can cause authentication problems across the entire matrix, internal domain. It highlights the importance of maintaining unique SBNs and the role of domain controllers in the authentication process. Copy.
So this is the answer of Claude, and as you can see, is very, very detailed and very, very simple. And now we can go and see the last test, which is vulnerable schema class. This is related to Exchange. If we have environment running supported vendor Exchange server should address this vulnerability by applying the cumulative update. So I don't have any Exchange on my environment, so I don't have it. So this is completely the tests. So as we can see here, we have already seen all of the tests concerning the forest. In the upcoming video, we will work with the domains, but let me first see if we can see anything here in the video, if we can just see if anything I have missed here. So we can go further. So I don't think so. Here is okay. So I think we don't need okay, maybe okay, anyway, I think we don't need the video anymore. So here in the upcoming video, we'll begin working with the domains findings. So we have finished the forest's findings. As we can see here, we have seen the backup and we have solved it. We have seen the forest DHCP. We have known how to do it. The forest replication, we have solved it. And then we have the optional features. We have talked about it. The forest sites, we have talked about it. The site links, the site links connection, roles availability, root KDC, we have talked about it, the sub-sites verification, then the orphaned or administrative or admin count, we have seen that, tombstone life, trust availability, configuration partitions, 1 and 2, and then the duplicate service principal names, the vulnerability schema. So we have finished this part. In the upcoming video, we'll talk about the domain findings concerning this Testamo report. Hope this video is informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.